There are bands out there with lofty dreams. Some of them are to make it big, play at Glastonbury perhaps, maybe the Wembley Stadium. Others are fairly content just to have a song featured on Nightline. Standing here with Ashley from Gestalt Switch, and they realised such a dream not too long ago. How did it feel?
It actually felt great, and we realised it twice. Yeah, I caught it both times. The 2 times we were on the music for the weather on Nightline were just good times for me.
Was Tony doing the weather that night?
No, it was just the automated weather sequence, so the song got to speak for itself. I think it fit into what was going on weather-wise, gave people a nice outlook on the day to come.
That's beautiful, beautiful. Of course, other highlights in your career would perhaps be sort of turning down an invite to South by Southwest.
Yeah, saying yes and then saying, oh, look, actually no. Well, we say, when you get invited to South by Southwest, I think that the automatic response is say, yeah, we'll come. And then you go, right, where do I get the $20,000 I'm going to need to go and play shows in America? So eventually we said, thanks guys, but we can't actually afford to get to Christchurch at the moment.
Good for the CV though, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
Ashley, can we talk about the history of Gestalt Switch and perhaps the formation of?
Yes, indeed. Where we came from was the lovely town of Dunedin, where I was a student. In 2001, I met a girl outside a midnight opening of a record store. We were buying the Smashing Pumpkins' greatest hits, and we thought, hey, let's form a band. Then my friend Blair moved up from Invercargill. Somehow we met our drummer. He's this quite heavy-looking guy. He was into metal, and he showed up in my living room one day when I got home from class, and I wasn't quite sure who he was. Eventually he said, I'm the guy that Eddie asked to be a drummer. That all worked well, and that was, so about late 2002 we started playing gigs, changed bassists since then to Rachel, who had played in other bands, and we've just been rocking in Dunedin around the country since then.
Okay, would you say that that influences the sound? Because listening to you guys, there is very much a rather, I don't want to say traditional, but rather traditional Dunedin sound coming through.
I think more than just Dunedin. I mean, Dunedin has definitely had an influence on us. You can't help but absorb the music of the place. But the biggest influence on all of us is probably we listened to hard rock music in high school, and then started getting into the more obscure stuff when hard rock became uncool. We're the product of 90s alternative music turning into what it did, and here we are. Dunedin music definitely directly influenced some of us through actually taking the rock course at the Otago University. I took it for a year and it wasn't my cup of tea, but Sam and Rachel both have rock degrees, so they've been schooled in rock by Dr. Graham Downs of the Verlaines.
Wow. Now, a band like Gestalt Switch, you don't just pick a name like that out of thin air and have nothing to say about it. So why don't you tell me about the deeper meaning behind the band name?
If you like, it probably work if you think of a Gestalt Switch as like a religious conversion. It's the whole idea of changing your Gestalt or psyche so dramatically that the previous way of thinking is unrecognizable, which is to say, Gestalt Switch will change your life.
That's heavy. That's very heavy.
Did that look a little planned though? Because I'll admit we did talk about that earlier.
We
edit that?
Yeah.
Or keep it in so it's that funny bit where we're talking about editing.
Maybe, yeah. Okay, now, in 2005, was it the Low EP?
No, Low EP came out in 2003. That was some stuff we did at the university's recording studio. 2005, we did the Nothing EP with Tom Bell, member of the Heavy Eights and all-round engineering good guy. And we put that out end of last year. We're still touring that because we operate on, it's either Gestalt Switch time or Dunedin time, but it's that slow time where you're like, yeah, we'll make an album, but no one's really sure what deadline means.
Yeah.
So we're halfway through the process of recording more, but we've still got this Nothing EP, which we're still very happy with.
Oh, you'd have to be, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so talk to us about your most recent video, Sick Man.
The Sick Man video was shot with a couple of guys down in Dunedin, John and Chris Tane, who were Mothra filmmakers, and Mothra is the student film competition down there, which is pretty much grab a video camera, drink some beers, and produce something as B-grade as you can. But they turned out to be quite good filmmakers and shot a video for us for our Sick Man video. Got a mate of ours, Craig, to do some acting. The concept being that he's, I think, quite tired and confused and weird shit's going on, and he's a rock and roll band in a freaky dark room. And yeah, I think it brings out our darker side. We're thinking for the next video we're going to go to a golf course or a driving range.
Yeah.
Bring out the lighter side of the Gestalt Switch.
Maybe a bit of a rock ballad or something.
Could be, yeah. I'd really like to have Blair playing a solo in a field on a ukulele. Just came to me.
Yeah. Just now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that could be... I'll write that down, or if you guys remember for me.
Absolutely. We'll send you a copy of this so you remember. So you've been touring around a bit.
Yeah.
You've actually got a proper touring vehicle.
That is correct.
With you this time.
Would like to thank Warren Brooklyn, our drummer's father, who said, "You're not going to go touring in that car. Here's a van. We'll sort out the details later." Sometimes we just get lucky, and sometimes all our gear breaks, so it can go either way. As long as the van doesn't break, I think we'll pull it off.
Yeah. Now, you were just explaining to me before the interview about your die approach to touring in terms of wrangling gear.
Yeah. We'd see
when you get into town.
We'd see those guys come into town, and I'm assuming they did it pretty much everywhere, because they'd drive in just one of their cars, and they'd show up, and they'd come into Radio 1 where I work, and where they know us all there, and they'd just start making phone calls trying to find bass amps, drum kits, guitar amps, and it seemed like an approach that worked. We thought we'd try making those phone calls before we went away, so all we have to do is actually pick it up when we get to a town. And there are some friendly people in bands out there. A band called Alabaster Theatre in Wellington just said, "Here, have our stuff," and they were really good to us. A band called Dynamo Go in Hamilton just hit.
Wow.
We came into town, they're like, "Hey, here's everything, let's set up."
Yeah.
And so I guess Gestalt Switch would offer the same thing if anyone's coming to Dunedin and can't actually pack any gear in. Turns out you don't need to. Come borrow ours.
That's brilliant. It's kind of like an exchange program.
It really is. Sharing among musicians is a sensible idea.
Excellent. Now, I understand that you guys are perhaps looking for a manager. You've been doing very well, obviously, getting out a couple of EPs, Spot at the Big Day Out earlier in the year, and that sort of thing. Song on Nightline a couple of times, invite to South by Southwest, all without a manager, completely self-managed. But I think the time has come, hasn't it?
Yeah, we finally actually got a practice room, and that was the first step. And what we'd really like now, I'm going to appeal to the people of Auckland and the people of New Zealand, if they catch us in the next week or so, come manage us, come live with us in Dunedin and live the Gestalt Switch dream, and then we'll start operating on, hopefully on normal people time instead of when we remember what we're doing.
You just look at this guy, you know, how could you refuse that? Great music.
Heart on my sleeve, man. Heart on my sleeve.
Yeah. Great times too, I would well imagine.
I promise many.
Awesome. Ashley, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you very much for having me.
Right on. Ashley from Gestalt Switch. You can, of course, catch them if you're very quick and lucky on the last dates of their nationwide tour. And maybe a big day out next year?
Ooh, nothing to say about that yet.
Yeah.
Don't know. You know, we'll be back one day.
There you go.